And I will tell you that I live along Salt Creek. I will tell you that Forest Preserve has been trying to buy up all of the property along Salt Creek, and that I probably will be bought out in the not too distant future myself. Okay? And I know that, and I understand it. Am I happy with it? No. But I do understand it, okay? Things do have to change, okay? I mean, unfortunately, we can't always keep things the way they are because, as you've heard the engineers stated, I mean, if we do nothing in this community, you're going to have complete gridlock out here in 15 to 20 years, okay? You already got it now at times, certain times of the day. We can't continue on going with the way it is.
With that, I think I want to go to citizen comment before we start debating the issue so we can get input from the citizens. Alderman Knight?
Okay, we talk about alternates to two-way and a no-build. What if we decide to go no-build? Correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is the state could still come in and build whatever they want to expedite the traffic in the best way possible, which in the state's way of looking at it would be an overpass on Irving Park and an underpass on Wooddale Road. That was talked about some time ago. Can they do that? I mean, if we say, well, okay, we don't want either one of the alternatives, and they say, and we say we want a no build, can they still go ahead and do what they want on their state highway to expedite traffic there?
It would depend on what the environmental documents would say for the federal highways. I mean, I don't know legally what they could do, but it'd be unlikely that they would go against what comes out of the public involvement process of an environmental document.
Okay, if we as a community then decide we're not going to do anything, we don't want, none of the alternatives are, adequate.
Because, well, see, it goes through your representative process, and that's where the funding comes from. That's why I just think it would be unlikely. But I can't answer legally. I don't know. You'd have to talk to someone from the state.
Because, when we start talking about this, 5, 6 years ago or whatever, that I believe was the state's proposal to do an overpass on Irving and an underpass on Wooddale Road.
It goes back to the the main grade separation studies after the Fox River Grove train crash, the bus accident. And that's when DuPage County looked at several grade separations through the county. They looked at the most dangerous intersections, and this was one of them.
All right, thank you.
All right, at this point, we're going to go to citizen comment. The first person to sign up is Dolores Cobb.
Something, but she just say something about the homeowners store.
I'm Dolores Kopp, and I reside at 261 Forest View. And I, too, plan on living there the rest of my life. I'd like to leave feet first because I love living in Wooddale. And I've been an active citizen ever since I lived in Wooddale because of that. I have attended almost all, I think I missed one of the public meetings. All of the sketches and all of the presentations they give us didn't have much detail. This has the most detail of anything I've ever seen. Sitting here looking at this, I think that when we have another public meeting, everyone in this room would appreciate knowing a little bit about the lines on this detail. Like, we're now looking at something that appears to have Division Street crossing Wooddale Road on the south side of Irving and going right in front of Holy Ghost Church School, which doesn't seem like a safe situation at all. It seems to me like you're creating a very dangerous situation. But I do see something very faintly on the west side here that says Division Street, going in front of Wooddale Holy Ghost School. So I know people are going to want to know, what does this mean? And they are very entitled to an answer. It also seems to swing it out Oakwood Drive, which is a narrow residential street. What does that mean? Where is that traffic going to go? Another situation that you have never really explained fully to the residents is when I come home from Des Plaines, Illinois every day, I come west on Irving Park Road simply because of the timing of the lights. I can get to Wooddale faster if I come south on Wooddale Road from another route, but in the winter, the traffic backs up to the library. And I sit there through 6, 7 lights trying to get south to Irving Park Road. So my route has typically been going west on Irving. How much is that going to improve that situation on the southbound traffic? Because the southbound traffic is still going to, apparently, according to this, going to have to cross railroad tracks. And so I think these are common sense questions that the people that are going to have to live with this the rest of their lives would like answers to. And I think that instead of saying, well, we're going to swing it this way and these businesses and these houses will be displaced, I think that the people want to know a little bit more, like, is this really going to go in front of Holy Ghost School? And if we're coming south on Wooddale Road, we're still crossing the railroad tracks. What does that mean to us? It says Old Irving Park Road here. What is going to be the disposition of Irving Park Road between point E ingress and point B egress? And so those are my concerns, just a few of them from what I've had a short opportunity to review this. And I think that these are the type of questions that everyone is going to want answered at your next meeting. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Kopp. Anyone else wish to address this?
I would like to say, I really think that this is a decision we're going, of course we know we're going to have to, everyone's going to have to live with the rest of their lives that lives in Wooddale. So I recommend moving slowly instead of quickly. We've waited this long. We don't have to rush now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kopp. Anyone else wish to address City Council on this subject? Yes, sir. If you go to the podium, give us your name and address, please.
City Council, thank you for letting me have this opportunity to speak here. My name is Dave Hastrock. I live at 330 North Maple. Been a resident of this town for over 20 years. First of all, I want to let it be known I vehemently oppose any change to the intersection of Wooddale Road and Irving Park. I'm opposed to the displacement of any residents or businesses that this is going to incur, okay? I feel that the change for the intersection will cause an increased traffic along Commercial, which we've already got enough traffic there, and other local streets such as Walnut, Elmwood, Cedar, Maple, Catalpa, and so on. I feel that the money, if it was there, proposed for this, could be better spent on other needs of the city of Wooddale. There should be a replacement of the Capita box on Irving Park, which was recently taken down in an accident situation. I also would like to add that we put a Capita box not only on Wooddale, on Irving Park, but on Wooddale Road as well. This town would be better served by spending money, instead of fooling around with this intersection, on such things as maybe trying to acquire land to put up a new post office, or, in this case, maybe expand the City Hall chambers here for meetings like this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Mr. Hastrock, thank you. Anyone else wish to address the City Council on this subject? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Winifred Byrne. I'm both a resident of Wooddale and a business operator in Wooddale, which is right in the middle of this mess on Irving Park, because I am on Irving, immediately east of Wooddale Road. So access to my business is going to be affected by this. What I would like to know is, no one has said, what is the widening of Irving, if and when it ever goes through, west of Wooddale Road? how is that going to affect this intersection? We have been put at a gridlock because the town west of us refuses to allow it to be widened when it should have been widened years ago, and it causes a lot of backup to our area. I'm looking at this and thinking, how am I going to get to work? I can't figure out from this, as the lady said, there's no explanation of what these lines mean. I can't figure out how I'm going to get from my home in the 4th Ward, north of Irving and east of Wooddale Road, down into my business now. I've got a straight 2-shot in there. It's going to be affected the same as she's going to be affected coming home from Des Plaines. I also have a problem with the whole process from the very beginning, because in the beginning, the committee consisted of no one who lived north of Irving Park Road. 2 people were added earlier this year, and from my understanding, their very first meeting was the meeting to eliminate this down to 2 or 2A, both of which go north of Irving. And all the ones south were eliminated by people who live south of Irving. Thank you.
Matt, do you want to respond to the effects, if this improvement goes through, on the effect on the intersection? Can you respond to that part of her question?
Could you repeat the question back to me?
If I understood it correctly, what's going to be the effect of the intersection on Wooddale Road and Irving if this improvement goes through? The existing intersection, how will it be improved?
Sure. Without getting too technical, I'll just kind of sum up. The intersection today doesn't operate like a typical intersection because of the 2 railroad crossings that one of them crosses Irving Park and one crosses Wooddale Road. The issue that really screws up the intersection operations today is when a train pulls into the train station, all legs of the intersection are blocked. Now what that does is traffic continues to queue on all 4 legs of the intersection. So when the train finally exits the station, the intersection can't recuperate and get back to normal before the next train comes. Now what our improvement will do is it tries to separate out the intersection and the railroad so they can operate as 2 individual entities. And I know it's difficult to believe, but the traffic that goes through this intersection really isn't that great when compared to some of the other intersections in the area here. What makes it seem so busy is the interaction with the railroad tracks. So as we separate the 2 out, intersection operations, as we alluded to earlier, will go from that level F, which is considered failure or gridlock, up to a level C, which is acceptable by the DOT standards.
Thank you, Matt. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Hillary Jelski. I live at 365 North
I think
Elmwood.
that one you're going to have to spell for the city clerk, sorry.
Okay,
The last name, please.
D-Z-I-E-L-S-K-I.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything prepared. I'm sorry. 365 North Elmwood. Okay. I don't have anything prepared. I'm probably one of the more newer residents of Wooddale. It sounds like people have lived here for several years. And one of the things that I like about this community is the fact that it is a community. It's a small-knit community. And I think that the expansion of this, or at least moving this street and cutting through the residential portion, or a large residential portion of Wooddale, is going to take away from that small community effect. So there's just a couple of points that I'd like to raise and maybe ask some questions just to understand. In the time that we've completed any of these studies, have we identified through the options what homes will actually be impacted? Like, do we actually have the addresses of the homes that will be impacted for any of the options? Because I think if we can share that with the community, at least now people can start making decisions and looking forward to see, well, what is it that they want to do? If they want to live in the Wooddale community, then maybe they can pursue another area of Wooddale that they would be interested in, rather than have like this mass exodus or this situation that forces everyone to leave at the same time because of all this work that's going to be done. Number 2, I know that one of the largest employers that happens to be out here in the industrial park has their lease coming up in 2008. And And I know that a large part of the congestion that occurs near the tracks is because of that employer. So when that employer leaves, if there's no one to replace it, wouldn't that reduce some of the congestion around the tracks? And I think one of the last things I'd like to add is just, rather than go through all of this, has anyone in the study considered possibly just moving the train station probably further east, and that might alleviate some of the congestion? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Regarding the affected addresses, yes, we do have a list. If you want to call City Hall and speak to Jeff Mermuse, he could give you the exact address, whether you're affected or not. Regarding the employer leaving, that would have a minimal effect, but that would have a beneficial effect. But the problem, as I understand it, with the expansion of O'Hare Airport going, which we oppose, going from 900,000 flights to 1.4 million flights per year, and Irving being the first road south of the airport, traffic is expected to go up 50% on Irving Park over and above what it is now. So what we have now is just going to be aggravated down the road. As far as moving the train station, Matt?
As part of the earlier feasibility study, we did look into not only roadway improvements, but what can be done to the train station. And while it seems obvious that all it would take would be to move the train station down further to the east, the problem that we have is even for all the express trains and the local trains, it's the time that it takes for the gates to come down shuts all four legs of the intersection down. So while you do see a minimal improvement, you are seeing that stoppage in the intersection, and it's that startup time which really degrades the operations. So a short answer is we did look at that, and it doesn't provide enough operational benefits to make that a feasible option.
Yes, sir. If you go to the podium and give us your name and address, please. Yes, unfortunately you do, because what it is, let me explain. This is for the benefit of the citizens at home, because we will replay this. I think it's on Monday at 8 o'clock, and the citizens at home do not hear you unless you go to the podium and speak in front of the
I don't think
microphone.
they're going to watch
So-
TV if they see me on it. My name is Mike Volgaris, 358 North Walnut. It seems like the big problem, according to what I first heard today, is the train station and the congestion it causes because of the amount of trains that come through the rush hour, I guess, right? How about moving the train station west of Salt Creek? Has anybody ever considered something like that?
All right, Matt, would you answer that, please?
Again, that ties into my previous response. It's not only the train stopping at the stations, it's every train that comes through the crossing. Your trains don't just come down for the train. They require, I think it's like for this intersection, we actually went out and surveyed, and it's for every train, even an express train that comes through, it's almost 40 seconds of downtime for the gate. And it's that time, again, that backs up the intersection and starts that whole process over. So whether you move it to the east or the west, or even get rid of the station as a whole, it doesn't solve the overall operational problem.
But also what the lady alluded to earlier.
Sir, again, because this is on tape broadcast, you're going to have to go back to the microphone.
Again, if you move Irving Park north of Wooddale Road, what's the big, where's it going to clear traffic? Isn't it the same amount of traffic? You know, there's a lot of traffic that goes south of Irving. They go all the way down to Lake Street, and they go down to North Avenue afterwards. So where's it going to, I'm sure it'll take up some traffic away from, but like the other gentleman said, they all go down Commercial, like you said earlier, which they do now. And we have bumps in my street. We put bumps out there for the kids so people know not to speed. I mean, there's more problems that are there that I don't think this is going to alleviate everything. There's going to be more problems, right? And it's what the lady said earlier about the companies north of Wooddale. There's just too many people, too many cars.
Matt, would you respond, please?
One thing I don't want to pass over is the main emphasis of this project is a grade separation. And what that does is we've completely eliminated the crossing of Irving Park and the railroad tracks. And this option that you look at in the northwest quadrant of the existing intersection, Irving Park will actually go under the tracks. So what we've done is we've taken the major route, which is Irving Park, and completely separate that from the railroad. So then when you look at the intersection in this, in either 2 or 2A, you have the intersection of Irving Park and Wooddale, and the only leg that will be stopped at a train crossing is Wooddale Road. And that operates like many intersections in the Chicago area where only one leg is stopped or one direction. The intersection can recover after the train leaves, and you don't see that degradation in operations.
Yes, sir. If you go to the podium, please give us your name and address.
Ted Hanushak, 304 Oak Avenue.
And I think you're going to have to spell that one for the city clerk, too.
Hanusiak.
Thank you.
My question is, are we looking to improve traffic, or are we looking to expand Wooddale downtown here? I think we're displacing more than what you have on here. I think all the homes are affected in this area, even the ones that aren't being bought out, especially their properties being put on a main street. Property value going down. My other question is to you, maybe you could tell me what makes 2A more attractive than 2? And in what way is that going to be better? It looks like 2 is displacing less people. And it's, I think, looks the same to me, other than it's 2A is more viable as far as putting up a more attractive maybe for a downtown area.
Matt, would you explain the difference between 2 and 2A?
For Brian.
The primary difference that I can speak on between 2 and 2A is from a safety and operational standpoint. And when we first started looking at this project, those are the two main things that we're trying to correct from this, is improve the safety and improve the operations or the mobility through the intersection. And although alternate 2 and 2A both improve safety and operations, alternate 2, which is the one that has the shallower curve, has a lot of aspects that are on the minimum range of an improvement. And what I mean by that is when we improve an intersection, for example, you like to have your streets cross at a right angle or 90 degrees. What alternate 2 does is you bring the intersection down and it intersects in a sharp skew. While this is acceptable, it's really on the minimum range of what the DOT likes to implement on their roadways. So while we do have 2 viable alternates that work, 2A is really the optimal solution, and 2 is the minimum we can do to get by, to correct safety and mobility to a certain standpoint. But again, it's minimal, and it doesn't provide as much benefit as 2A does.
Ma'am, pursuant to our rules, nobody gets to speak a second time until everybody who wants to speak once has been recognized. Sir?
Hi, my name is Jim Frank. Last name is Franke. I live at 337 North Cedar. I'd like everybody to know, and I'm totally against the Irving Park 2A. Number one, not is it only going to disrupt a lot of residents directly, but a lot of the residents that live on the north side are going to be subjected to more traffic noise, more pollution. And I think it's a safety issue to keep it out of the neighborhood as well. I think a lot more people are going to be using the side streets as a thoroughfare too. And I just wanted to let you know that's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. Yes, sir.
My name is Al Gonzalez, Gonzalez. I'm at 333 North Elmwood. Obviously, I'm opposed to 2A. I'm one of the houses, I'm in the westbound lanes of it. Besides that fact, you're going to be knocking out a bunch of people. This is supposed to be a community. Is this like kicking out your relatives? But to bring more practical points, moving the station not only impacts the time that those gates are down, because it does impact speed up and slow down times by moving that train station. Also, another part of the problem with that station is the signals. Irving Park always goes first when the gates come back up. That causes a good deal of the problem. Take those things into account, please. The next thing is that they're talking about all the traffic that's going to be growing on there. Is there or is there not plans to finally make the Elgin O'Hare go to O'Hare? Won't that alleviate some of that traffic problem? Okay? This plan of moving Irving Park, that's 4 years, not 5 or 6 to even start. 4 years. 2007 is a couple weeks away. You're saying 2011? My math says that's 4 years. Okay? Under the current grade where they're talking about moving this, you're going to take Irving Park and send it underneath the current grade of the railroad tracks. You're not going to change the grade of the railroad tracks. The amount that you're going to have to dig down, and next to Salt Creek no less, is going to put it down underground. It's going to flood. What are you going to do for, okay, I heard one of the engineers say, well, we'll put pumps down there. We lose power too. What do you do then? You going to have somebody sitting down there with the generator? Another thing too is, it's true, the changing of this intersection impacts all of the citizens of Wooddale. Why don't all of the citizens of Wooddale get to vote on it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Anyone else wish to address this issue? Yes, sir.
Hi, Dan Wagner, 376 Walnut. I've heard the issue of property values be addressed several times with this issue, and people obviously are concerned that the property values are going to decrease. And every time I've heard that issue come up, I've heard that just the opposite will happen. For the people that are, let's say, they're like myself, 3/4 of the way between Commercial and Stoneham on Walnut, I will end up being about 4 or 5 houses from Irving Park with the two-way configuration. So I would like the question addressed: how does that increase my property value?
I'm not sure if we have anybody competent to address that issue. The City Council is considering a B4 zoning. Should 2A be approved for the area immediately in the center of town, B4 would allow a higher density. Presumably, if a developer came in, acquired multiple houses, which let me hasten to add is voluntary, we will not do any condemnation for economic development, that they would offer you more money for your house than just regular market value. That's a presumption. If it does, we don't know if it's actually going to happen or not.
Okay. Can I ask one more while I'm up here?
Yes, sir.
Has an alternative, such as rerouting Wooddale Road to go down Grove, for example, has that been looked into?
Matt, was that one of the alternatives, or either of you gentlemen, can you answer that, whether that was studied? I don't recall that being one of the...
There were several alternatives that looked at rerouting Wooddale. The problem we had is we didn't want to get any closer to Salt Creek, as the gentleman mentioned, because there is a floodplain around there, and we're trying to keep the roadway improvement out of the floodplain as much as possible.
Anyone else wish to? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. My name is Maureen Keller. I live at 329 North Elmwood. I've been a resident here for 30 years. I guess I want to speak more from the heart to the City Council here. As a homeowner, I chose my home to be in Wooddale after a lot of research. I went to find out where the schools were, where the police station was, the fire department, you know, everything, how the roads were to the shopping, to the major shopping centers, and everything like that in the train station. And we picked our house because it was the perfect location to get to access to all this stuff. And this is where we wanted our family to grow, and this is where we wanted our kids to live and be safe. You know, and the property is ours. We own these homes, and I think that's what all of us here are afraid of. We want to stay in our homes. We want to stay on our lots. We want to stay in our property because this is where we chose to live. This is the town we wanted to live in, where we're living, not in a different location. And I think the city council needs to take that into consideration when they choose a route. 2, you'd get your grade crossing. You go with 2A, it's all about a town center. And I don't care what anyone up there says. It's about the town center, the little shops, the cute little cafes with their little chairs out there so everybody else can enjoy the city except for the people that bought the property there. This is prime real estate now with the cities because it's a half-a-mile circle around the railroad station. And that's not our fault that you choose, that you like our property now, that you want to do something else with it. We bought it as a home, and we'd like to keep our homes where they're at. I see the aldermen, when I watch your programs on TV, fight for the rights of people that live on a dead-end street that bought a house on a dead-end street, that they have the right to keep it that way when somebody else wants to come in and open it up. And you'll fight for 2 inches of property, 3 inches of property for another homeowner. And the aldermen, most of them up there, will listen to the people in their ward and fight for the people in their ward. There are some that won't. I'd like to stay where I'm at. I love Wooddale, and I have a very close connection with Holy Ghost Church, and the whole idea of putting a road right next to that school is ludicrous. The safety of those children should be above anything else. 2 would give you your grade crossing, which is what this all started out being. It didn't end up being that way. It ended up being a town center because that's what someone wanted to push. Thank you, and please let us keep our homes.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Anyone else wish to address the city council? Let me just check and see if anybody else. Okay, ma'am.
Again, my name is Winifred Byrne. I live up on North Ash. I run a business at the middle of Irving and Wooddale Road. My question to these gentlemen is, you're willing to put this underpass in very close to the creek that is probably going to flood the minute we get 1 drop of rain. What's wrong with putting an underpass on Irving itself and let the traffic flow straight through rather than being stopped by that train? And then to address Mayor Johnson, the scare tactic of telling us O'Hara is going to expand. I first moved to Wooddale in '59 when O'Hara was not as big as it is now. And it isn't that bad. O'Hara Elgin is supposed to go through with this expansion, is it not? Which would alleviate some of that traffic that you're trying to tell us is going to block Irving even more.
Please don't accept or say my comments are an attempt to scare someone. I'm just trying to share with you facts. What I was told.
Can I, please?
Alderman Tolley.
I'd like to address the O'Hara issue, okay, because I recently had an opportunity to go out on a tour of O'Hara Field to see exactly what is going on, in the airport grounds. And I will tell you that 27L, which everybody in 4th Ward knows is the runway that flies right over us, is in the process right now of being extended. It's being extended 3,000 feet further to the west. They hope to have it up and operational by 2008. Okay, and I asked the question, I said, well, what does that mean for Wooddale in terms of, are the planes going to be coming in lower or going out lower? And I was told anywhere from 200 to 300 feet lower than they are today, flying over everybody in this room's home. 200 to 300 feet. That runway, when it's complete, is going to be able to land the space shuttle if they needed to. They already have a runway that does that. It's the north-south runway, and that runway is being closed down once all these new runways are completed. The north runway is they've already got everything's all dug out for it. They're already getting ready to start laying the pavement for it next year. They hope to have that up and operational by 2008 as well, the end of 2008. They already have in the process, they don't have the money for it or the funding for it, but they already have and are working on laying the infrastructure in the ground on the south side of the runway for the south runway, the extra runway that will go over the southern part of Wooddale. Okay? They're already working on the infrastructure for that. I asked the question, when will the western access be open? And I was told western access, and I've got it in writing. Anybody wants to see it, I'll gladly share it with you. I got this right from the city of Chicago. 2012. They're looking at not doing anything